Okay, so Fallout 76 theme, it starts in a very iconic starting, and this is with the guitar harmonics. But the way I started Fallout, is basically just playing open chords on harmonics, which is not really like possible to do it that easy with the guitar, but with the keyboards, no problem. So that's it, and that's the sound. So again, when you compose themes, you want to really create like an iconic touches that when people just hear the first time, it's like, oh, this is this, you know. And many times when I will do, like for example, Fallout 4 theme has this piano, and it starts with a piano. Fallout 76, since it's sort of like an Appalachian, environment, and it's in the mountain, it's very nature-like, and it's all about hope and building and camaraderie. This is the way I approached it. A lot of guitars, a lot of solo strings. So guitars and solo strings, that's how I basically started. So it starts with this, and then a solo string riff. Oh, I forgot about the drum. Of course, Fallout always have big drums, but it's only one that has the big Valhalla reverb on it, Valhalla shimmer. So, and then the solo strings. Now, this this violin riff actually is from my own library. I built a string solo phrasing library with Benjamin Powell, this amazing violinist that I'm working with. And he just played a lot of twangy, sort of like a little off phrases that's not classical. This is how this phrase sounds solo. So you see how he's bending the notes and stuff. And this is very, very, very Fallout style. How you actually build or combine the classical orchestra with these more folky instruments, and this is what Fallout 76 is all about. If Fallout 4 was a lot about, how sound design-ish elements that I've recorded here are being combined with orchestral music, in Fallout 76 is more about how solo instruments that are a lot of very folky are being combined with the orchestral music. One element that is interesting here. So this, for example, this sound is like a violins that, again, are very much bendy. I could play them a little louder so you could hear only a solo version of them. See how harsh they are? But this is, again, the Fallout thing that, it could be beautiful, but it's rough. And I created this, again, library with Ben, which is, you see, this is like, almost like no vibrato at all. And this is like the straight one. And then there is a bendy one. And again, so Fallout, playing things are not the way they are. Things are really, off, shall we say. Exactly. So, and then comes the orchestra. So the whole harmony here is what I was talking before. Yes, there is evidence of yes, the harmony is there. But since the solo is so detuned and it's so sort of like around the notes and stuff, it creates this what is it, and so I told the musician basically to really play a little off tune when they're playing the solo, and then that's obviously what they did. So the theme. It is because the first thing it says that this is not regular Fallout, because if it would have been a Fallout, it would be like, right? But it's not. It is way more straight ahead. We don't have this thing here, right? Because it's a different kind of Fallout. I didn't start with this iconic way of doing things here. So and then repeating the theme. And now here comes the second part that everybody knows of Fallout. That works almost the same, and this is sort of like the way I've connected Fallout, themes to this. So that's that. Ta-da! But still, it's very much almost straightforward. Doesn't have like the things that are going around and around. And here, basically, we're talking about like the full orchestra. Okay? So basically, this is like as classic sounding orchestral as Fallout ever was being. It was done purposely because we wanted to say that at this point we don't want to talk about darkness. We don't want to talk about destruction. We really want to keep on harping on this warm feelings of camaraderie and adventure, because this is what Fallout 76 is all about. People are working together to remedy the destroyed world. So we are really trying to put in the spotlight with the music, the building and hope in Fallout, rather than concentrate in the more sad and destructive. What you hear right now is a combination between the MIDI and the orchestra. So I could, leave, the MIDI strings here, to play, and that's the MIDI strings. But and they're so smooth, and but they're so boring. Yeah, and once you play it with the live strings, they almost need this kind of like togetherness between the MIDI strings and the live strings, and obviously percussions are so important. And in Fallout here, I have I don't know like how many drums, but so many. I mean, you could hear just like some elements from, the drums. I mean, this is only one element. Now, if I go and play another and add another element of the percussions, you'll get this. And this is a battery of about 8 different drum samples that are all basically put together to create this massive wall of, of drumming together. Definitely, we're not talking about a single, drums, and their overall really gives you sort of like this massive feeling of rhythmical, support together. And ending on the 4th and not on the 1st is something that's very typical to Fallout. We don't like resolutions, and even the very ending will not end on the, first, like on the tonic. It will be back. Same thing on the 4th and not on, because when we're doing Fallout, the journey is always continuing and it's just the beginning. We really, like in many cues that I'm doing for Fallout, I'll always work basically, toward the end and gravitate things to finish either on the open ending or something that is just the 4th. Or the or the 6th, and not on the 1st, to give it sort of like, okay, what now? I've been working with MIDI for the last 30 years, or more even. I've been at 1988. I already worked on what they called, it wasn't Cubase, it was Steinberg, and it was a dedicated Atari computer that all it had was like this very colorful program that called Steinberg. And this is basically how I started composing music right away. And I think that more than anything else, understanding the ability of MIDI notes to be developed volume-wise, modulation-wise, expression-wise, probably was like the biggest advance in my writing, because before I was just writing notes. But today I mean, usually I'm composing with only one hand, and the other hand is always on, the sliders, basically, using the faders as part of enhancing every note. And that actually what makes the music really sort of like evolve. And that's a biggie for me.